Hey, welcome back. My name is Dino. This video has Ja Morant blown up his brand equity, and for those of you who are not a NBA fan, you'll get the blown up part reference in a moment. And so, what this focus of the video is what is the brand impact of Ja Morant's recent behavior? And there's been some at the recording of this video. It's recent to April 2025, but it also is over the past couple of years. It's what's happened in April 2025 is resurfaced some things that happened a couple of years back. So, just for those of you who do not know who Ja Morant is, say if you're just really more into brand equity and just aren't really a fan of the NBA, I will explain in just a second. He is a point guard for the NBA's Memphis Grizzlies. In 2019, he's a younger player. He was the number 2 draft pick in the NBA after Zion Williamson, who was number 1, and RJ Barrett. Go Mississauga, Canada. He was the 2019-2020 NBA Rookie of the Year. He was a starter in the 2022 NBA All-Star Game. He was a 21-22 Most Improved Player, and he was named to his first NBA All-NBA team in 2021-2022. From this, he is a popular and successful as well as high-flying NBA player. He is renowned beyond just these sort of accolades and awards. He is a phenomenal dunker. He's got a great vertical leap, and he plays with abandon going inside the lane. So his major sponsors in the past have been Nike, as well as Powerade, which is a sports drink owned by Coca-Cola. So you know that if you're in doing business deals and doing sponsorships and brand ambassadorships for the likes of Nike and Coke, you know that you're tier one of a sports athlete in terms of being an ambassador. Unfortunately for Mr. Morant, in terms of his brand work and his sponsorship work and his ambassadorship work, there's been some controversies. One is these are a couple of 2023, so a couple of years back. He was suspended 8 games for live streaming while holding an apparent handgun in I believe this was in a nightclub. And then he's also suspended 25 games in the same year for brandishing a handgun in a viral video for the second time. So there was 2 live streams. So he had to take quite a bit of time off to, ideally reflect on that behavior. That has been relatively quiet except for just, again, recently, and again, April 2025. He was fined $75,000 for making gun gestures, despite the warning for performing the celebration earlier. So he did a gun gesture while celebrating a play, and he did it again. He was fined the second time. And then he has been fined as of yet. It may happen, and this goes back to the blow up, Ja Morant blowing up his brand equity. This is a reference to that. He has been most recently gesturing, pulling a pin on a proverbial grenade and lobbying it into the crowd as a celebration. So he does these kind of provocative gestures that are controversial, let's just say that. So before we get into this more, I'm going to talk a little bit about brand equity. I'm going to define it. So for those of you who do not know, brand equity there's a couple of different parts of it. Brand equity is, quote, consumers' individual and collective levels of brand awareness and knowledge. So I'm going to break down the final 2 terms in that, awareness and knowledge. So when awareness is consumers' level of recall and familiarity with your brand, and knowledge is consumers' thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and relationships regarding your brand. So equity includes awareness and knowledge. So from all of this, brands create their images over time. It's not like a static thing. It accrues over time. And so, especially in the social media age, and since branding's been ever been around, they often use ambassadors similar to players like Ja Morant, especially one who's won a number of NBA awards, and again is high flying, and is just like a popular player, has a flashy game which appeals to a lot of consumers. So there's this idea of positive and negative brand equity, which kind of goes to controversies and ties into the brands. So positive brand equity is if your brand has positive equity, your customers are likely willing to pay more for your product. So if you're able to garner this positive equity, that's only in the best interest of the brand. And then negative equity, that's what occurs when your brand's reputation decreases in consumers' minds. They may avoid your brand even if its quality is on par with competitors. From this, ambassadors can increase or decrease your equity, your brand equity. So you would think, and as you'd imagine, if you're a brand like Nike or Coke, you're going to want to have people think that have a positive equity in your brand, and they're really willing to pay more for your product. So let me summarize all this. Like, what does this all mean in terms of brand equity and Ja Morant? Morant's behavior, the actual viral videos, including apparently handguns, and sort of subsequent behavior a couple years later where he's gesturing, like finger gesturing during games with either guns, which he's been fined for, warned, then fined, and then now with grenades. It threatens the equity of the brands he's associated with, such as Nike and Coke. For example, back in 2023, Powerade pulled the Morant commercial that they just made. And then, I've been doing some research. Nike has apparently pulled the Morant signature shoe, the Ja one. From this, if you think about it, there is further potential brand fallout for Morant if there are no changes to his behavior. I'm one of those types. I believe in free speech, and I do not want to control Mr. Morant at all. You know, he's a highly paid, successful athlete, and I'm just sort of diagnosing what's going on. If he continues with this type of behavior, there's probably more potential brand fallout, which has been exemplified by Powerade pulling its commercial and Nike pulling its signature brand. However, if he wants to continue his behavior, and again, he's more than welcome to do whatever he likes, if there are no changes, perhaps him and his representatives are going to need to engage with more anti-establishment, non-mainstream brands, like ones like Nike and Coke. So, say if you're having Nikes, you know, a parent buying shoes for their kids may not want their son or daughter to get a shoe associated with kind of more of these types of violent gestures. So as a result, he may need to go to more adult, again, anti-establishment, non-mainstream brands other than maybe Nike and Coke. From all that, I wish Mr. Morant all the best. And that was, has Ja Morant blown up his brand equity? Thanks for watching. Please feel free to like this video if you like this type of content. Please feel free to comment on Ja's controversies and the ideas of brand equity, positive and negative equity, as well as what you think is going to be next for Ja Morant and his career, both on the court as well as off the court, in terms of on court, his play, maybe the Grizzlies' fortunes this NBA season, as well as what's going to go on for him for his once flourishing brand ambassadorship career. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.